The Ravens have their eyes on a Super Bowl champion, and this could be the missing piece to take the team to the top. After falling short last season, Baltimore needs some precise reinforcement, and one name is starting to gain momentum behind the scene. A player who has faced the biggest challenges in the NFL, knows what it's like to play under pressure, and could be the key to finally overcoming the Chiefs. But will the Ravens take that decisive step? And more importantly, could this reinforcement really make a difference? Stay with me until the end, because this signing could change everything. Go Ravens! One thing the Ravens need to maintain a dominant defense is depth on the defensive line. And that's where Charles Omenihu comes in, a player who just left the Chiefs with a Super Bowl ring and is now available in free agency. He may not be as big a name as other pass rushers in the league, but his versatility and experience in big games make him an intriguing option for Baltimore. With the need to keep the defense at a high level, bringing in a guy who knows what it takes to win could be a smart move for the franchise. Omenihu isn't just another rotational player. He has a history of playing in different positions on the defensive line, able to line up both on the outside and in the interior. This would give the Ravens more flexibility to create different formations and maintain constant pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Plus, he's already shown he knows how to step up in critical moments, something Baltimore needs after coming so close to the Super Bowl last season. Adding a player with that winning mentality could make all the difference in the playoff. Another thing that stands out about Omenihu is his development over the years. Even without being an absolute starter, he stood out when never given the opportunity, managing to pressure quarterbacks and help contain the run game. With some defensive pieces leaving, the Ravens need to reinforce this area to maintain the standard in 2024. If Omenihu comes in, he could share snaps with the starters and keep the defensive rotation fresh, something essential in a league that's becoming increasingly physical and grueling. But it's not just his experience that stands out. Omenihu's playoff history is something that could be a differentiator for Baltimore. What sets apart ordinary players from great competitors is what they do in the clutch, and Omenihu has already shown he can handle the pressure. Over the last 4 years, he's never been eliminated before the conference final, playing for both the 49ers and the Chiefs. This means he not only has playoff experience, but also knows what it's like to be on a team that goes deep into the postseason. For a team like the Ravens, who are knocking on the Super Bowl door, having someone who understands the scenario can be a huge advantage. Omenihu isn't the kind of player who racks up massive numbers on the stat sheet, but he impacts games in subtle yet effective ways, whether it's shedding a block to force a bad pass from the quarterback or pressuring the opponent in the most critical moments. He knows how to use his physicality to change plays. In the playoffs, where every detail counts, a player with that kind of mentality could be the difference between stopping a key drive or allowing that game-changing touchdown. Baltimore saw firsthand how small details can make the difference in January. Against the Chiefs, the defense was able to contain Mahomes at times, but they didn't have that player who could disrupt things up front when they needed it the most. That's where Omenihu can come in. He's faced some of the best quarterbacks in the league in elimination game and knows how to adjust his game to be more effective when everything is on the line. That kind of experience can't be taught. It's earned in battle, but it's not just the experience he brings. Omenihu has a trait that perfectly fits the Ravens' defensive scheme, his versatility. One of Omenihu's greatest qualities is his ability to play different positions along the defensive line. He can act as an edge rusher, putting pressure on quarterbacks on the outside or in the interior, winning physical battles against guards and centers. This versatility is a huge asset for a defense like the Ravens, who like to mix up their formations and confuse opposing offenses. With a player like him, Mike Macdonald could experiment with different defensive packages, creating even more problems for the opposition. Baltimore already has a strong defensive line, led by Justin Matabike, but they still need more depth to maintain constant pressure. Omenihu could play alongside Matabike in obvious passing situations, or even spell the starters for some plays to keep the rotation fresh. The Ravens' defense was one of the best in the NFL last season, but we saw against the Chiefs that more talent is needed on the line to really close out big games. Additionally, Omenihu has the ideal physique for the AFC, where games are physical and defenses need to be aggressive. He has long arms and an athletic build to help him bat down passes and make life difficult for quarterbacks. If the Ravens want to keep their defense as one of the most dominant in the league, investing in a player with these characteristics makes perfect sense. He may not be an elite name, but his presence on the field would add an extra layer of difficulty for opposing offenses. But before making any investment, Baltimore must consider one factor that could weigh against this signing: injury. Well, we're past the halfway point of the video, but I notice you haven't left a like yet. It's really important for YouTube to keep showing you my content, and that's how I'll keep bringing videos like this to you. So hit that like button. It's free. Thanks a lot. Now let's get back to it. Although Omenihu has a lot to offer, there's one concern Baltimore can't ignore: his injury history. Last season, he missed a significant portion of the year due to physical issues, which raises questions about his durability over the course of a full season. The Ravens know very well how injuries can impact a defense, having dealt with them in previous years. So, before making any deal, the franchise needs to assess whether he can stay healthy long enough to make a difference. The good news is that when he returned from injury, Omenihu managed to be productive. He showed up in the playoffs, helped the Chiefs in key moments, and demonstrated that he still has a good level of play. This means that if properly managed physically, he could be a valuable asset. However, Baltimore would need to monitor his workload to avoid setbacks that could cause him to miss crucial games down the stretch. Another point to consider is the cost benefit. If Omenihu is asking for a high contract, the Ravens will need to weigh whether it's worth investing a significant amount of money in a player who may not be available for all parts of the year. On the other hand, if they can secure a deal within the budget, the risk might be acceptable, especially considering the positive impact he could have when healthy. And if he's in good shape, the big question becomes, could Omenihu be the piece that finally helps Baltimore surpass the Chiefs? The Ravens made it to the AFC Championship, but hit the same wall. As always, the Chiefs led by Patrick Mahomes. To finally break through this barrier and reach the Super Bowl, Baltimore needs all the weapons it can get. And having a player who knows the Kansas City system, who has practiced against Mahomes, and who understands how Andy Reid builds his offense could be a game changer. Omenihu may not be a star, but he could be the kind of player who makes a difference in the details. And in January, those details are what decide games. One of the big challenges the Ravens faced in the AFC Championship was applying pressure to Mahomes efficiently. The Chiefs quarterback is a master at escaping the pocket and extending plays, and Baltimore simply had no answer for that. A player like Omenihu, who has practiced against Mahomes and understands his movements, could help minimize that problem. He won't win every battle, but if he can create extra pressure in critical moments, he could change the course of a game. Additionally, Omenihu's playoff experience could be a significant psychological factor. Baltimore has a talented roster, but many of the players haven't been to a Super Bowl. Having a player who's already been there, who knows what works and what does in the most important game, could bring a different mindset to the locker room. If the Ravens want to go further and win the title, players like him can make all the difference. Now, with everything we've discussed, it's clear that Omenihu could be a valuable addition for Baltimore. He has playoff experience, versatility to fit into the defensive scheme, and knowledge that can help the Ravens finally overcome the Chiefs. The big question is, should Baltimore make this investment and bring Omenihu in to be a key piece of their defense? Now, with everything we've discussed, it's clear that Charles Omenihu could be a valuable reinforcement for Ravens. He brings playoff experience, knows the path to the Super Bowl, and has the versatility to fit perfectly into the defense. Moreover, his history with the Chiefs could be a strategic advantage for Baltimore to finally overcome Mahomes and company. If the Ravens want to take the next step, this could be a decisive move in the market. The big question is, should Baltimore invest in Omenihu to strengthen their defense and chase the Super Bowl? If you also believe that this could be the missing piece for the Ravens to dominate the AFC, share your thoughts in the comments and show how important he can be for the team. We can't let a wrong decision affect the future of our defense. Until next time, Ravens Nation,